One of the things I love about doing this show is learning new things about my retro gaming hobby. And in today's show, we're going to be learning about Sega's 6 mascots. My name's Mike, and this is the Retro Gamer Boy Show. Welcome back to the show, and like I said, today we're going to be taking a look at the 6 mascots. Yes, 6 mascots for Sega. Now, most people commonly know at least 1, maybe 3. A few of us know about 4 and 5, but 6? 6 Sega mascots? Well, let's jump in and find out who these 6 Sega mascots are and learn a little bit about their background. Sega's first mascot was this well-dressed game guru rabbit called Professor 𝗴𝗺𝗻𝗏. Professor 𝗴𝗴𝗏 was a character specifically created to help players and give them game advice. The professor could be found lurking in your game's manual with the secrets to a game's success in speech bubbles, and started off life in 1983 on the 𝗵𝗺𝗀𝗀𝗀. The 𝗵𝗺𝗀𝗀𝗀 was of course Sega's first gaming console and was built in response to a downturn in the arcade gaming market in the early to mid 80s. The 𝗵𝗺𝗀𝗀𝗀 came out on the same day as Nintendo's legendary family computer. Sega's 𝗵𝗺𝗀𝗀𝗀 would continue to evolve with several releases, resulting with the Sega Mark III or the Sega Master System. Professor 𝗴𝗺𝗀𝗏 stuck around, appearing in nearly every Japanese gaming manual for the 𝗵𝗺𝗀𝗀𝗀, and also made it into some of the early Sega Mark III or Master System games like Hang On, Fantasy Zone and Space Harrier. The Professor made it into 60 games, offering players tips for their new games. Although 𝗴𝗺𝗀𝗏 never made it into a game of his own, he did make it into a modern game called Sega Gaga, a Japanese RPG for the Dreamcast, as well as a Sega anime called Hard Girls, and also into promotional material like a free transfer sheet you got when you purchased the Nintendo DS game Sega 3D Classic Collection. Professor 𝗴𝗺𝗀𝗏 finished his manual career on the Sega Mega Drive, but not as Sega's prize giver of gaming knowledge. Instead, he was relegated to pointing out helpline telephone numbers. Sega's rabbit mascot had a bumpy ride as the face of the fledgling gaming company, as after only 2 years in 1984, he was replaced by Dr. Games. Dr. Games sported a monocule just like Sega's rabbit mascot and carried out the same role, giving players advice on their games. However, the character must not have been very popular, because after only 12 games, Professor 𝗴𝗺𝗀𝗏𝗏 returned to be the face of Sega. In 1986, Sega opted to make a game character the face of the brand, allowing Sega to leverage the popularity of a game to help sell Sega to gamers. Its first attempt at this was a character called 𝗵𝗺𝗶𝗴 from the game series Fantasy Zone, a 𝗬𝗎𝗏 that was very successful in the arcades and carried that success to Sega's Master System. But probably more importantly, Fantasy Zone and 𝗵𝗺𝗶𝗴 were found on competitive consoles, and so having a mascot that Sega were hoping would become synonymous with the Sega brand on other consoles could be a market coup. However, 𝗵𝗺𝗶𝗴, just like Mr. Games, was a short-lived Sega mascot, as in the same year 𝗵𝗺𝗶𝗴 was replaced with Alex Kidd. Sega had a problem by the mid-80s, and that problem's name was Mario. Nintendo's mascot had already sealed his place in history as one of the most recognizable gaming characters, and had appeared in no less than 30 games already, as well as mainline games, spin-off series, and a numerous number of cameo roles. Yes, Sega had a branding problem, and they needed to solve it fast. 𝗵𝗺𝗶𝗴 was too abstract a character and not relatable. They needed a character who could take on Mario head-on. Enter Alex Kidd, Sega's new mascot from a game where he headlined as the hero. Alex Kidd on paper was exactly what Sega wanted, a cool, edgy character with his red and yellow jumpsuit, anime-styled eyes, and ears that would not make up their mind whether they were big and round or long and pointy. Alex Kidd was both an arcade and console game, and would get 6 games dedicated to him, and would lead Sega into the new decade before Sega shifted gears again in 1990 with a mascot that would finally rival Nintendo's Mario. And that was Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic was part of a concerted effort to create a gaming mascot and franchise that could compete with Mario and become one of the most recognizable gaming characters in the world. Work on this new mascot started well before the release of the game, and efforts to find a new mascot can be found going back as far as 1987 and perhaps even further. Sonic was part of an R&D project and was one of several potential mascot characters. Sega also had designed a dog, a bird, a wolf, a man in dungarees, and a rabbit that could extend its ears. The concept of the rabbit was clearly a star favourite, as it had more of the game's mechanics designed for it than the rest of the concepts, and would ultimately become the Sega Mega Drive game Rystar. Now, if you're enjoying the show so far, it'd be awesome if you could leave a little like on this video, and make sure you drop down into the comments box below. Let's talk everything Mascots. Sega versus Nintendo, Sonic versus Mario. The team took these character concepts to New York and went around asking random people which they preferred. If Sega was going to make it big with their new mascot, they needed to understand what the American consumer wanted. For well over a decade, American culture was exported all around the world and was now seen as the formula for success. Ultimately, Sonic was overwhelmingly popular, and the rest is history. Or is it? You see, Sega was struggling to take on Nintendo in North America and Japan, but in Europe, Brazil and Russia, Sega were the preferred gaming platform, and in Brazil, it dominated the gaming landscape. In 1988, a Brazilian tech company focused on gaming called Tectoy signed an exclusive licensing agreement with Sega to publish games and hardware from the Japanese arcade gaming giant. They would go on to make Sega the brand for gaming in Brazil, and in some cases, Sega games released in Japan would sell better in Brazil through Tectoy. Tectoy continued to support Sega's console well after the console had been retired in Japan, Europe and North America, and in 1995 even had its own unofficial mascot for its Sega brand. 𝗵𝗺 was a comic book character about a frog with stinky feet that enjoyed some moderate success in Brazil. Tectoy would sign the character up in an initial 3-game deal launching on their aging Master System. I'm sure the plan here was to see how the character performed on a console that was cheaper to develop for, before going all in on the character for their other Sega consoles. The 3 games all came out in 1995 and were ROM hacks of previous Sega games Psycho Fox, Astro Warrior and Kung Fu Kid. The games didn't sell well, and Tectoy's brief dance with a new mascot came to an end. That's it for this week's show. I had a great time researching about these characters. Some of them I knew about, some of them I didn't, and this is what I love about retro gaming. It's history's past that I'm getting to learn about, and it's so great to get the opportunity to share it with you guys. Now, if you're new to the channel, this is your first time here, well, we make tons of retro gaming videos about brand new games for on consoles and everything to do with retro gaming history. We put out brand new videos every single Monday, and so that you never miss one, you can hit the little bell icon just below this video. Now, if you can't wait until next Monday, don't worry, because we got a huge back catalogue of retro gaming videos, 2 of which you can enjoy over here.